so they say again, you know the brand, you know the names, but now we're getting into the story behind the names. And today it's not just one guy, it's an entire group that's making a difference in Los Angeles and in the city and on the streets. It's the Compton Cowboys. Randy Savvy, how are you, my friend? How's the ranch?
I'm here. Everything is beautiful. It's just even getting, the crazy part about this whole like coronavirus shutdown thing is that it has in a way forced us to spend a lot more time on the ranch with each other and with the horses. So I'm finding myself and the crew, we're all finding ourselves like, we don't have jobs to go to or anything to do in the morning. So everybody just comes to the ranch in the morning. And it's just an amazing, like beautiful and peaceful and therapeutic experience to be out there early in the morning when the horses are getting fed, and just to be there and just to hear the birds and smell the smells of the ranch. It's like in a way it's becoming this really like daily therapy for us. So personally, it's just been a great thing in my life to be able to be out there every morning. I've been working my horse in the mornings now, which is something I didn't really have much time to do. And that's exciting because he's showing a lot of progress. So it's been great. It's been great.
There's nothing like a Southern California morning as the sun comes up and
Seriously.
being outside, being on the ranch, a good place to quarantine.
Absolutely.
Well, you have been busy lately, my friend. It seems every media outlet I look at, you've been on, and a big part of that is because of Peace Walk you just organized on June 7th. So talk a bit about that ride.
Yeah, so it's interesting. When the unfortunate situation happened with George Floyd being killed, a lot of big cities and just around the nation, people were kind of rose up and got really excited and antsy about getting their voices heard and excited about change and just so normally the city of Compton is a very actually our city is notorious for being the city that is like very hostile and kind of like a frontline warrior soldier of sorts in those kinds of moments. Actually, our city became famous in the era of NWA with Ice Cube and Eazy-E and Dr. Dre and them, and their whole movement was F the police, right? And so you got to think of that in that context when we're experiencing these same issues again. And you would think that Compton would be the first city to be like, here we go again, we gotta bust it up, we gotta go hard. But actually Compton was really calm, collected, and quiet and reserved. And to me that spoke volumes about just our community and our leadership from the mayor's office on down, and then also other local community leaders and members in the city that have really made our city we've pushed that narrative like we are a community. We love our city. We don't want to cause issues. We just want to protect and preserve and help each other. So time was going by. I think maybe 2 weeks had gone by since the protests had started, and we hadn't done anything. There wasn't any looting or rioting or anything in our city, and but we also hadn't done anything like that was very vocal and loud and that would speak to the issue. So I'm just sitting in the living room one day, and I was talking to some other equestrian friends, and they were telling me like, hey man, it'd be great if we did like a ride or something, and some type of demonstration. And I had already been thinking about that and talking to people kind of here and there about it, but just kind of getting that reaffirmation from some friends in the industry. I was like, you know what, that's a great idea. Let's just go for it, because I was already thinking about this. So I just texted the mayor. We have a great relationship, working relationship, and I said, hey, the equestrian community, we really would love to do like some sort of demonstration in the city, nonviolent, just peaceful. We want to do like a parade or something. And she was like, you know what, that sounds like a great idea. Go ahead and, however you want to do it, just, go ahead. Because the reason I contacted her is because I wanted her to be in the loop, because she's very much with us as a community member. She's a part of our Compton family. She's not just some politician in office. She actually is very, very active and involved in the street. And so I just wanted her to have her blessing on that, to make sure that she knew that we wanted to cause a disturbance. And she was like, I'm super down. Let's go. Let's do it. And so I started telling people, and then she actually hit me back the next day like, hey, a lot of people have been hitting me up since yesterday about organizing. So I think it's just a great time for everybody to come out and let's do something on Sunday. So I'm like, absolutely, let's do it. She was like, she designed a flyer, and I edited the flyer for our audience that had the horses on it and stuff. And I was just like, hey, everybody come out. And the support and the outpour of just love and energy just came. I mean, we had fans showing up with their horses, community members. We probably had about 50. I would say we probably had about in between 50 to 75 horses out there. And we only have 10 ourselves. I mean, we only had 12 ourselves. So all those other horses came from other communities, And it was just a beautiful experience to get to just to light up people's faces and for them to see the horses out there. And horses were the original soldiers in the war, on the fights of the front lines of the war. So for us, it's like we're fighting for the good. We're on the front line of the fight for good, and it makes so much sense to have our horses out there on the front line. As we're like the brigade, we're like the cavalry. Coming to make our way. So it was just a beautiful experience. So much peace, so much love, no violence, no looting, nothing negative that anybody could point to and try to write off what we did as something else other than what it was, which was just positive and beautiful. And the kids were just so lit up. Other community members were so excited. Fans were out there. We started taking pictures, signing autographs, doing interviews. And I mean, it probably was the highlight of my life, one of the highlights of my life for sure.
Wow. And so powerful too. And seeing the images of that, those are images that generations from now, they're going to be seeing you guys on horses like that. But you've been impacting your community for decades. Compton Junior Posse started back in the 1980s. So take us back there. And how did this get started? Because you hear horses and guys and girls riding down the streets of Compton, and I can't imagine the reactions you still get till this day.
Yeah, so it definitely is a special thing, but to put it in context of history, actually the founder of Compton was a farmer, G.D. Compton. He was really big on agriculture. And so Compton, the original town where Compton started and was built out around was the Richland Farms. And this little tiny little pocket in the city is just this ag zone where it's very specifically designed and said to be an agricultural zone. Even in the deed of the community, once he went to incorporate the city, he said that this little town has to remain an agricultural zone into perpetuity. That can never be changed because this land has to be designated for farmers. So you fast forward, 100 years from that was 1888. So now you fast forward 100 years to 1988, where my aunt just kind of randomly stumbles across this town from doing work in real estate, and she loved horses. So she wanted to be able to move and live in a town in the city where she could have a horse. And she just remembered how powerful it was to have a horse around. And she grew up watching Westerns with my granddad and loved the whole idea of horses. And some neighbors had a horse. So she just was totally just sold on the whole horse thing. So when she found this little town, she was like, oh man, like this is like a perfect town to live in for me. And so she moves here, and it hit her later that, wait a minute, I just moved to Compton in 1988, where it's like the height of every issue that you could find in the inner city community. I'm talking like you got the crack epidemic happening, police corruption, you got police brutality, you got gang violence, you got crime at all-time high. Like it was like the worst of the worst places. But when she was exploring the town, it didn't occur to her because this little farm town doesn't really look or feel like that. Like the people don't, it almost seems like disconnected from that narrative. So she moved here, and everything was cool. She had a couple of horses, and my cousins who were her kids, 3 kids, and her partner, and they had a couple of horses in a little barn in the back. I think it was like a 3-horse barn or something, no rickety old barn. And slowly but surely, as her kids and me and my brother started growing up, just the streets started having an effect on us. We started getting involved in different issues, whether it was gang violence or just starting to get, hip to what the drug trade was, or like, other things like that. And so one thing led to another, and my cousin, her son, ended up getting shot at the gas station down the street, just due to some gang activity stuff. And he's alive now, he's fine. But that was obviously a very traumatic experience for our family. So she was like faced with the decision of whether to take our family out of this neighborhood and go to, greener pastures, if you will, or to stay and fight and make a change. And so the way that we grew up and the way my grandmother instilled in us is like, if you have a chance to make things and people better, you do it. You don't run. Even if it's hard, you fight, because that's what's necessary. And especially in the Black community, because it's unfortunately a lot of our role models and our people that get affluence, they leave for greener pastures. And what's left behind in this inner city is just a bunch of the leftover, which is, people that don't have guidance, influence, or education or anything like that. So it becomes a perpetual cycle of negativity. So my aunt and my dad decided, we're going to stay here. We're going to fight the fight. And they noticed that, man, every time we're out dealing with these horses, all these kids keep wanting to come. They keep knocking on my door early in the morning on weekends, trying to ride or hang out in the yard. So she was like, aha, that could be my play. Like if I stay here and keep getting more horses, I can keep getting more kids that want to come over here. And when they come, I'll tell them, teach them if they want to ride, they have to work, they have to go to school and get good grades. And so that's just like, so now we're 32 years removed from that. And that's how the Compton Cowboys are, who we are today, is because we were kids that, you know, had an opportunity to go to a ranch and ride horses when we were kids. And that saved our life, you know, to keep us out of the streets, kept us on the right path. And then our whole town is just, it's a horsey town. So it's just a different kind of energy. It's a love. It's a vibe. It's a community. It's family. So our duty now, we feel, is we want to pay it forward to the next generation of kids. And, you know, we like, you know, in the meantime, why not be like these cool badasses, you know, like at the same time, you know, so whatever.
Wow. I love that so much, because here you are now being idols to that next generation and getting them to see, I could come, I could be a part of this, be a part of this movement, have an opportunity to ride horses, to learn this responsibility. And now you got a whole generation that's looking up to you guys. How important is it to you that this tradition and everything you just explained to me continues with that next generation?
It's this mission is of the utmost importance. It's vital to our community, because in the inner city, in the Black community, and then in the inner city of the Black community, it's a hard place. Like, grow up tough, limited options. You know, a lot of kids grow up single family household or dysfunctional families. You know, most times the men are either dead or in jail or just lost in the streets, hooked on drugs or something. Mothers are working real hard, multiple jobs. They don't really have time to give kids love and give them opportunity to help them uplift and grow. And then, you know, the options aren't there to really keep the kids' attention and stuff. So, you know, the typical things you see in the inner city is like, you got sports, and then you got music, you know, or some sort of really mainstream style of art that can like attract the kids, dance and those kind of things. But every kid doesn't naturally want to do that. It doesn't really appeal to everyone. And also, some of those kids, you have to really push them to go do that. Like, after school programs and intervention programs are really like, you're really losing the battle if you have to drag the kids to those programs. You know, you can't really win in getting them to change and better themselves and grow when you have to force that on them. So the magic of the horse is that the horse does that work for you. The horse is the magical, it's like a unicorn that just pops in their face, and they'll do anything to get around this horse. You know, they'll go, if they got to go to school and get good grades, they're going to do it. If they got to work before they ride, they're going to do it. If they got to clean up and obey their parents, these kids, I mean, it's like I always use the word autocorrect. It's like the horse is this like auto-correcting mechanism for kids that are like lost or troubled or anything like that. And so we find that it's been so effective in changing lives. Like, for us, it was very much that. Like, we were a bunch of kids growing up in the 90s in Compton. We could have easily been in the streets and doing things that could have led us down a negative path. But the horses kept us just excited and motivated to be something and do something different and be cool and have fun. So that was life-saving for us. So we figure, if it could be life-saving for us, how about we try to adopt this model and try to go take this model and replicate and scale this model in other communities? Because, you know, right now we're seeing the communities be affected is because the options are just limited. So what if like, for us, is like, our big vision is, what if we are able to have global ranch operations where we have a ranch in all the main inner city hubs in the nation and then around the world? You know, us being able to say, hey, we put a lunch in the inner cities of London, and, or, you know, we took a ranch and put a ranch in Africa or something like that, where we can really use this lifestyle to change kids' lives because we see how effective it is. And the beautiful part about it is you don't have to force it. The horses do the work. The horses, like, even in our program, we don't preach. We don't say, hey, you know, if you want to be somebody, you gotta, that we don't even do that. We just have this beautiful space that has horses and animals and open it up to the kids and allow them to come. And them being here just corrects them on its own. So that's the magic. That's the magic. You don't have to push them. You just allow them to have the space to be there. And that energy of nature and animals, horses, and all that will change them. So for us, it's paying it forward to the next generation is of the utmost importance, because we want to save lives. We want to change lives. We want to change the inner city. We want to change kids and just, you know, open up their worlds to something new. So
I love that. Take us through a day on the ranch. Times are different right now, but when a quarantine's not happening, you have kids coming and going all day. Who's cleaning up after those 10 horses? Give us the little.
Well, yeah, the normal operations is that we have after school programs 3 days a week, where after school from 4 to 6 the kids are coming. When they first come, they have to do their homework, and then they have to do some sort of some sort of academic engagement, whether it's reading, writing, or speaking or anything like that. And then after they're done with that, they get to put their boots on and go, and they have to clean up whatever horse they're going to ride. They got to groom it nice. They got to clean up that stall, and then they can ride. And then when they're riding, we're doing fundamentals training, depending on which kids or how far along each one are. Right now, we're basically spending a lot of time just teaching basic horsemanship, fundamentals, like just mostly like time in the saddle. We're teaching we teach bareback early in the early stages because that's how we learned. And for us, it's about fine-tuning your natural synergy with the horse. And the best way to do that is to have that skin-to-skin contact, where you can really feel how the horse moves, feel their energy. So we're teaching a lot of that early phase stuff. So I get up, I ride my horse around the neighborhood just to, experience that early morning ride, just to see my neighborhood, see neighbors, and just be on my horse.
Around the neighborhood, you mean sidewalks, intersections?
Yep. I was just going to say, one thing I'm practicing right now is stopping at the stop signs and looking both ways, because I normally just ride right through them. And a friend of mine, I've been watching her work her horses, and she was like, if one thing you should want to work on with him, if he's all antsy and goofy and stuff, if you want to work on that discipline, just try to make him stop at the stop signs. I mean, you got to stop at the stop signs anyway. Everybody else stopping. So you should try that. And I've been trying that, and it's been great. It's been I've been so excited. Like, my horse actually stopped at the stop signs. So I get on my horse. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm just looking both ways, just rolling. So I ride my horse, do a quick lap, then I put him up, and I come in, I jump on the computer, because my job is very business administrative oriented, being the manager and the executive director of the ranch, and the manager of the Compton Cowboys as our business operations. So I'm doing a lot of inside stuff, but everybody has a different kind of role in the group, and some of them are very outside oriented, some more inside oriented, but everybody, it's a nice little synergy we have, and a nice little well-oiled machine that we have between our kids program, us as Compton Cowboys, and then the ranch is like the communal space that we all share to do our respective missions.
And every piece makes a part of that whole that's making
Absolutely.
Such an impact in Compton and beyond. And, well, you've got it right there on your sweatshirt, talking Compton Cowboys. Let's talk Ariat a bit and your partnership with them and how that's impacted the ranch.
Ariat has been an incredible partner. I mean, I feel like without Ariat, a lot of what we've done wouldn't have been achievable. I mean, just from, bringing in, Will Simpson back in, I think it probably was about 10 years ago now. Will actually really elevated the program, just from a training standpoint, from a connections and relationship standpoint, just being a face and being able to have to come down here after having won a gold medal and come down to our ranch, in our little old ranch in the inner city, and show our kids like, hey, look what's possible with these horses. Just from a motivational standpoint, it's been invaluable, priceless what he's brought, what the energy he brought. He trained a few of our members in the English discipline style, hunter jumper stuff, and so he's worked wonders for us. And then just bringing in Ariat as a partner, like, they've come down, they've donated so much stuff, like all types of gear, equipment, boots, pants, and allowed our kids to feel confident when they ride in their stuff. Besides it being great product, obviously, but just having that feeling like, wow, I'm a real deal equestrian now. Just that feeling as a kid, when you can feel that, that means all the wonders. Because when you're growing up and you're struggling, you trying to find little boots to wear that's all old and dingy, or pants or helmets, and when you're wearing that stuff, you feel that. You feel like, it kind of speaks to your self, speaks to your worth. Like, dang, is this all I'm worth as these old little pants and boots and helmet? Does nobody care? But when you got Ariat coming in, sending a whole truck of brand new stuff with the tags on it, I mean, that makes all the difference in kids' lives. So just having that relationship, and then even moving forward to now, and that's been about 10 years of that, just consistently, which has been great. Not to mention, obviously funding for operations and stuff, helping us pay bills around here, feed horses. That's huge. And then fast forward to now, what we're doing, our Compton Cowboys thing, this branded operation that we're doing. Excited about storytelling. We're doing stuff in marketing now and product now, and And just on the branded side, it's really exciting because that's what I get excited about is cool content and videos and pictures and messaging to the public. It's just been great. Ariat has been so supportive, especially in this context of the whole Black Lives Matter movement and all these things going on, where the equestrian industry has been very one-sided, heavy-sided towards the white community. If we're just being honest, all the mainstream companies, if you look at their marketing, if you look at their initiatives, they essentially look like they're primarily focused to serve the white communities. And so Ariat has been very open about hearing that conversation and making the according adjustments. Even though they've been supportive of us for many years, they've been very forward about, hey, how do we continue to build this? How do we elevate this and highlight this to the next level, even when others in our industry may be afraid to? Because we're going to show you how to lead the industry on this topic. So it's just been a great relationship, so supportive, and it's just always growing and always new things happening. So our kids love them. Our kids running around, and all our kids running around in Ariat boots, and they just feel like they're just so like official now. You know what I'm saying? Like us being able to rock Ariat products and have that support from the brand and the company. It's been life changing. Seriously.
I just can't imagine the faces of these kids every time they pull on a brand new pair of boots, because we all know that feeling. And man, I'm sure for you, it's just, that's why I do what I do is probably what comes to your mind every time you see that.
Exactly. And I get tears in my eyes sometimes because I get very emotional about it because I know what it did for me as a kid. Like, I even, actually on June 19th, we had a ceremony for one of my friends who died a few years ago. And I've had multiple friends that have died that if they would have been with us with the horses, and they would have maybe had a different chance. But the streets got them, unfortunately, and then they ended up suffering that fate. And so I know what I could have been and where I would have been if it wasn't for these horses and this ranch. And so when I get to sit there and make a new cowboy, like I have stories of, where one of my kids, program kids, he came in, he was super rough, but he used to always ride his bike up and down the street and look in my backyard and look in the yard back towards the ranch. And one day he just stopped. And he's just staring in the back. And I was like, and I remember that because I remember we were those kids who did that. My friends were the same way. So I just know that moment. And so I'm like, what's going on, little bro? And he's like, yeah, what's going on with these horses in the back, man? And from that day, I invited him back. And, fast forward a year, he's not a tough guy anymore. He's not a gangster anymore. He's a full-blown, he wants to be a bull rider. He walks around with his Ariat stuff on top to bottom and other sponsors and stuff that he's working with. And he's like, his mom, calls me and says, thank God for that ranch and you guys, because I don't know where my son would be if it wasn't for that, So I know what it does. I know it's a very proud thing that we're doing down here. And so to have a partner like Ariat on board to support that it means the world.
Randy, I sure appreciate it. You're doing great things, everyone at that ranches, and can't wait to see more to come. So please keep posting and sharing, and you inspire more people than you know. So
thank you so much. It's all love. We appreciate y'all for just having us and being with us in this movement. It's a big deal.
I sure love it. Hey, I'm only about an hour from you, so now's the time to drive down. Not a lot of traffic going on.
We gotta navigate these crazy streets with this shutdown and COVID
right.
stuff. But when it's all working, and I'm excited to get back in motion and get these horses moving and get these kids going and just sharing the stories, and that's it.
Can't wait to see it happen. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
Randy, Compton Cowboys. I always got to give a round of applause. It's just too good not to.